it's Mindy and I'm back with another coloring tutorial for Neat and Tangled. Today I'm going to be using the Ride With Me stamp set. I've already colored some of my images and cut them out with the coordinating dies, and now I'm going to teach you how to create a scene using your Copic markers for the background. So what I'm going to do is get out my markers. I'm using E33, E31, E30, E40, so E0000, G24, G21, G20, C0, C00, and B40, so B0000. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a scene using the bike, and I'm going to just place it here so I can see where the shadows are going to be. I'm going to start with my E33, and we're going to be putting down some grass, but we do want to add a little bit of shadows behind there. So you're just going to kind of eyeball where you want the bike to go, so that way you can place a little line underneath the bike's wheels. Then we could set that off aside, and I'm just going to make a few more messy scribbles using the E33. So those are going to be our darkest shadow points. And then I'm going to take my E31, and we're going to just pull that color out a little bit. So just kind of go directly over the E33, blending the go over the E33 with the E31, blending it out just a little bit. Same thing over here. And you can still see that there's going to be a lighter area in the center there where we don't want it to be as shadowed since the wheels are not touching there. So now I'm taking my E30 and again just going directly over it, blending it out. So I still have a little bit of white areas, which is fine. Now we're going to blend that out with the E40, so E0000, and just continue all the way to the edge of the paper. Now when I'm coloring and I notice that it's still kind of blotchy and not blended through, I'll go back with one of my middle colors depending on how light or dark it is. So since I have a lot of light showing, I'm going to go back with my E31, and I'm just going to blend out from the top where we first added the E33 just to darken it a little bit. And then I'm going to go back with my E30 just to blend this out into the lighter color. And I'm actually going to go back with my E33 and just darken up a little bit up at the top. And then once again with my E31. All right, so our bike will end up going here. So that's perfect. It's got a little bit of a shadow underneath of it. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some grass. So I'm going to take my G24 and I'm just going to add some grass blades. And the reason why I add dirt on the ground is so that way I can really define the grass and really make just the grass blade so it's not all mixed together. So I'm just going to take the tip of my marker and start at the bottom and just flick going up. And you want it to go in all different directions because grass does not always grow in the same direction. So I'm just going to add a few. I'm not going to go super heavy since I want it to kind of look like a dirt road with some grass and weeds. So I'm going to add just a little bit. So now we'll work our way from that using the G21, going over some of the blades that we've already added with the G24, but also adding some extra blades. That way it kind of softens and has a little bit better of a, what's the word I'm looking for, where it looks a little softer. Okay, so that's good. Now I'm going to take my G20 and I'm just going to continue some of these grass blades going up a little higher. And by dragging that darker color and pulling it up, it really blends out and makes it continue that grass blade, so that way it's already blending it out for us. Okay, I'm actually going to take my N5 now, and just to define some of these grass blades where I want it to be the most dark, I'm just going to add a few little flicks just to define it, and it really makes it stand out a lot more. So I don't want to add too many, and you want to really stay closer to the dirt because we don't want it to be a dark gray grass blade. We want it to be a darker version of the green, which I'm going to show you. So now I'm going to take the G24, and since we don't want that to be the darker gray, we want it to be a darker version of the green. Now we want to go over that N5 using the G24, replacing that color so it is a darker shade of green and not just the gray. So very soft, very subtle. A lot of the a little bit of the N5 really makes a difference, so you don't need to add a lot of it. You can always go back and add more. Okay, so now the ground is done. We're gonna have our bike right on top of there. We're gonna put it on some pop dots. But first I wanna add a couple of clouds in the sky. So usually when I'm hand drawing a background, I'll start with my C00, so that way I can get the outline, and if I were to mess up, it's a lot easier to cover up. So I'm just gonna add a couple of clouds. I'm gonna start at the bottom. Going to go off the page a little bit, and I'm gonna do another one right down in here. Okay, so now I'm going to take my same color, my C00, and I want to shadow the bottom of the cloud. So just along this line here, I'm going to flick going up. And you want to follow that curve. We're not going to get too detailed with the clouds, but adding a little bit of shadow, that's what Copics are for, right? So now I'm going to take the little like indentations that we did up in here, and I just want to define them a little bit, just to add a little bit of definition to the top, just so it doesn't look like it's just going straight up into the sky. And the same thing's going to be on this side. So I'm just going to follow that line and then flick going up. Just getting that little bit of shadow. All right, so now we have a little bit of clouds in the sky, and we're going to add a little bit of blue. I don't want to fill the whole white area in with blue. I just want to add a little bit here and there, just to give, this is going to be a very simple background that you're going to be able to use with all of your Neat and Tangled stamps. So starting at the bottom of the clouds, I'm going to take my B0000, 4 zeros, and I'm just going to add some blue dots going directly underneath, just giving the sky a little bit of texture. Same thing on this side. And then kind of coming out in the center, just a little bit, just dots here and there, kind of more spread out as you move away from the clouds. All right, so now that we have that texture there, now we're going to kind of blend it in a little bit. So I'm going to take the same color, the B40s, and I'm going to start at the bottom of the cloud, and I'm just going to flick going down. So that way when I'm doing my flick, I'm blending smoothly into the white. So I'm starting by, when you lay the marker down, it's darker when you first lay it down. When you flick it going out, it's a lot lighter. Fumbling my words. It's a lot lighter once you come up after you do that flick. So that way it blends nicely into the white. So just on the bottom parts of the clouds, we're just gonna make it a little more solid. And we have those dots behind it, so that way it has that little bit of texture. And you can always go this way, so that way it kind of flicks out a little bit further in some areas. And then I'm going to come off the page just a little bit here and there, just to add some blue. So I'm going to do it up in the corners. And now I'm going to take my C00 again, and I want to kind of blend the bottom part and really get a better shadow, because I want the shadow to be on the bottom of the clouds, but a little bit blended in. So I'm just going to flick going into the shadow, the blue sky, and then flick up as well. And it really defines underneath the cloud. So just kind of back and forth, kind of erasing that line that we created on the bottom part of the cloud, and it looks a little bit more natural. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and this is really going to make the cloud stand out. So I'm going to just darken that line, flick going up into the cloud again, and then flick going down. You can add a little bit into the corners if you'd like. And I'm going to do a little bit over here, just for little shadows. So there we have it. We have our super simple background, and I'm going to assemble the card now. Okay, so I have my image put on the background that we've created, and I use pop dots on all of the images here, so that way they pop off the page a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed this month's coloring tutorial. I will see you again next month.